Okay, so we are working in Chapter 7 right now, and what you need to do is open up the Lesson 7 start file, and also there's another file there called Circuit Board TIFF. Besides opening up these two files, you want to have the following palettes open. Your History and Layer palette, and again, all these palettes can be found under the Window menu here. And then you want your paths, channels, character, and paragraph. And if you open up the character, it just automatically brings the paragraph palette out with it. And I'm just kind of laying them all out to the side over here so they're convenient for use as we get into this activity. So the first thing we're going to do is create a clipping mask from type. And a clipping mask is an object or groups of objects whose shape masks other artwork so that only area that lie within the clipping mask are visible. So in summary, you are going to be clipping the artwork to conform to the shape of the object, and basically like a mask. You can create a clipping mask from shapes or letters, and in this exercise you will use letters as a clipping mask to allow an image in another layer to show through. And we actually did this last week when I had you create some letters and then make a mask and bring in the background layer. The 7 working file lists include a background layer, which will also be where we are going to be adding our type. And you're going to be starting by zooming in a work area and using a ruler to help position the type. Now, if your ruler isn't up, basically Command R gets rid of the ruler, Command R brings back the ruler. So at this point, you want to get in the ruler. Okay, so now what they want us to do is once your rulers are up, they're going to have you drag a guideline out approximately to 4.25, 4¼ inch. So it's basically about 2 notches up there. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do is we're going to be creating some type. And I'm going to go ahead and click on the text tool here. And I'm just going to give you some specifications that they suggested. They would like you to choose Minion Pro if you have it. We have Myriad Pro. And I'm not sure if I'm going to have Minion Pro on this, but I'll just stick with Myriad Pro for now. But Minion Pro is what they suggest. And then type in 144 for the point size, which is a little bit over 2 inches. And then basically you're going to click in the center of the text button, okay? And in the character panel, which will be over here, you have tracking, and what they want you to do here, and it's the VA with the line right underneath it here, they want you to do 100 tracking. And the tracking value basically specifies the overall space between the letters. And so we can use this to make adjustments as to how we want it to lay out on the document here. So now they're going to have you click in the center where you've made this center line, and they want you to type in the word digital in black ink. So you want to make sure your black ink is selected, okay? And then in capital letters, I'm just going to type in digital. Again, this isn't probably the right font we want to use because I just don't have that particular font on my computer right now. But Minion Pro is more of what they wanted you to use. But as you can see, it basically just covers overall the top part of the magazine. Okay, now I'm going to look at the layers panel, and you'll see that the word digital is written out here, and we know that this is a layer that we just created, the type layer. And the type layer is always designated here, you know, by the letter T. And if you go over to the type tool, you'll notice that there's also options for doing vertical type tool and creating some mask tools as well. Now if I wanted to, I could basically change the type of font that I have. Right now this is in bold, and you can see that it made it quite bigger. Every font, you know, even though that would have been a 144 font, it certainly took up a larger amount of space than the Myriad Pro. And then again, you can do things like go semi-bold. This is probably a little bit closer to what is shown in this activity, so I'm just going to stick with a semi-bold. But you know, you can do left alignment, right alignment. You can change the color of the text here. And as we did in another class, you can also change the arc of the text as well. And again, your character palettes allow you to do various things such as leading and kerning and various types of things here. You can also click on the paragraph where you can adjust your alignments, and each one of these palettes also has some other settings that you can use depending on what you're doing at the time. So just wanted to let you see that as well. So again, you saw how we can change the font. Pretty simple. It's very similar to most word processing programs, these tools. And so now, if you haven't done so already, you know, I want you to just bring the digital, you know, up so that it's, you know, just going slightly over his head. You got this line here where the first row of blocks is. That's where I'm setting up my type. And the thing is if you're on the move tool as well, one thing you might not realize is that you can use your up and down keys to also move the type up and down, or the side keys to move it left and right. So another thing to keep in mind when you're working with text. So now the next thing we're going to be doing here is we are going to be using that circuit board we brought in, and you can see right now they're up in the different tabs here. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to first go to Window and Arrange, and I'm going to arrange these two files that I have loaded to 2 up vertical. And you'll see that we have our circuit board here. And so what we're going to do is we're going to be on our Move tool, and we're going to select the circuit board and drag it over to our 7 start file. But before we do that, I want to hold down the Shift key because I want it to actually come in here centered, and then I'll drop it, and then I can get rid of my circuit board file. I don't need that anymore. And you can see here now we have the circuit board in place. Now it is a little bit too big. I do want to resize this. So on my keyboard I can go Command T, or I can go Edit, Free Transform. And you'll notice that this bounding box comes up with the handles on here. And as one thing you need to remember, whenever you're working in Free Transform, always drag from the corners and hold your Shift key down to keep your image in perspective, okay? Otherwise it will go out without holding down the Shift key. So once you get that established, you can do several things to get out of the transform mode. You can double click it, or you can click on this little check mark up in the options panel to commit it to the transform we just made. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to click over here on the layers panel, and in the meantime I'm going to take the model layer and I'm going to make sure that it is up on top of the circuit board layer. And then what I'm going to do is I want to select the circuit board because I'm going to make a clipping mask over the with the text below this on digital. So how I do that is I go up to the upper right hand corner here. You see the little down arrow with 4 horizontal lines. I click on that and I go Create Clipping Mask. And as you see, very similar to the results we got last week when we did the mask with text, this was a very easy way to just make the automatic mask by using the clipping mask and connecting it to the digital text type. So to remember, you want to have your image that you want to mask on top of the text that you're going to create the clipping mask. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do is we're going to activate the digital layer, the digital text layer, and you'll know it's active if it turns blue here. And then we're going to add a layer style button at the bottom of the layers panel and choose inner shadow from the pop-up menu. Okay, and the key that we do to add a layer style is this FX key that you see here, and we want to choose inner shadow, which is right down below here. Okay, and as you can see in the dialog box, we have a number of different items that we can change here. So what I want you to first do is have the opacity at about 85%, the distance at 18, the choke to 0, and the size to 16. And you might just work around it, and you can see the different shadows effect that you see on digital applied to what we wanted to do here. And then we're going to click OK, and then at this point I want you to go ahead and save your work. And again, this is lesson 7, so you can just call it 7, project or something like that, and then go ahead and save it.